The best.
So excited to meet our next guest. His columns on family life can be found in the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune. His new book, it's called Daditude, includes some of his most popular stories which parents of any age, like young like myself or otherwise, can relate to. Please welcome Chris Erskine. Welcome, Chris. So, for 20 years writing columns, for people who don't know what your columns are about.
Right, you know, Mark, everybody says it goes so fast. Parenting goes so fast, right? They're in kindergarten, and then they're fourth grade, and then they're looking at colleges. It goes so fast. Yeah. Well, every week, I sort of write a diary about life in suburban America, and it runs in L.A. and Chicago and various other papers. So it's basically, it's not big stuff. It's just the little things like, where did I put my coffee mug, and, you know, the 15-minute hunt to find it. Dad, you know, come on, Dad. Yeah. It's little stuff. I mean, it's you know, our 5-layer dip has 3 layers. You know, I mean, it's those kinds of things.
Where did the other 2 go?
Where did they go? Did they get bored?
Yeah, right.
I mean, what
it's like
happened?
the one
they
sock.
Lost interest.
It's like the one sock in the dryer.
Yeah.
Where happened is a mystery.
But you take the mundane that everybody who's a parent goes through every day, and you make it funny and so relatable. It's honestly, it is. Your column reminds me a lot of our channel.
Well,
it does.
I think it is. I think it's kind of looking at the brighter side of things without being so, you know, you can look at things half full, half empty, the whole thing.
Sure.
And we look at the family room as half full.
Right.
I mean, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's not always easy. It's not always happiness all the time. We have our fights and everything else, but it's real. And it's you know, we do look for the little things that make life.
Sure.
So how do you, with over 20 years of material, literally over 20 years of material, how do you decide what you're going to put in the book? Is it like Sophie's Choice? Like, what do you do?
Well, not exactly that, but it was a little bit like picking your children. I mean, it was, you know, I had 600, 700 columns to pick from. So we tried to mix it up. I mean, it was 15 years worth of columns that we're picking from.
Wow.
So we, you know, I tried to get some when they were small, and we were doing the soccer stuff, and then we did the one that everybody talks about is the drop off at college.
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, that is heartbreaking. And if you haven't done it yet, but you
Getting
will,
close.
and you've gone through it, and there's that awkward moment when do the parents leave? When do they go?
Yeah.
You know.
No, the bigger question is, do they ever find home again? Because I'm hoping, like, if I drop them, they never, like, I'll move so they don't.
Change the locks. Change the locks.
I still told my mom I might move home. Don't get crazy.
There's a lot of that, though, Debbie. There's a lot of that now. I mean, there's the back and forth of moving in, moving out. They're never gone. I mean, parenting is a life sentence.
For sure.
Yeah, but this kind of worked a little bit in reverse, because you went to the kids and said, hey, and your wife, and say, hey, help me out. I need some, you know, comments from you.
We did something special with the columns. It's a reprint of my favorite column, so it's a greatest hits things. But to sort of to freshen it up a little bit, we added little footnotes so that they could weigh in and give their 2 cents. Did it really happen this way?
And boy, they loved it, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, finally, you know.
Yes, so they get to speak.
So they were very good about it. They took it seriously, which stunned me because they never take anything seriously.
That's nice.
But they did. They were very professional about it, and so we get that little added value to it.
Sure.
You know, your writing is your vernacular and your tone is like your speaking is very much like what you read.
Yeah, I only know about 100 words. So I just use them in different order. But
you feel like you're speaking to him when you're reading, and that's I think your reader really feels like they know you.
It's either very simple or very accessible. I mean, how do you want to put it? But I mean, I think it is very simple. That's.
So, is there one story in particular that you like better than all of them?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Well, I think there was a first day of kindergarten story in there that is just, when you release them to the world, you know, like, here's this thing I protected, and now go out into the wild with all these other wild creatures, right? That one is very special. And then the drop off at college was very special. The one about my mom passing. You know, everybody deals with those kinds of
There was
things.
the one about the puzzle piece.
The jigsaw puzzle.
That was just
We had this thing. My daughter had done this beautiful Christmas jigsaw puzzle, right? Thomas Kincaid, beautiful, elaborate thing. She's like 10 pieces away, and her little brother comes along with a blanket and shakes out the, shakes out the blanket so he can watch TV. Everything goes everywhere.
Oh my God.
Well, we get all the pieces. No, we get all the pieces together. We get all the pieces together. She gets it put back together, and there's 3 missing pieces.
Oh no.
They've disappeared.
They just disappeared. They wanted somebody's
Like the
cuff,
sock.
whatever, right? Like the sock.
Like the
right?
sock.
Yeah. So my son and I get some cardboard, and we traced the missing pieces
Isn't that
with
so
some markers and colored in and put it in a little jewelry box and wrapped it so that was her Christmas gift from her little brother who created this gift.
Beautiful.
So she opens it up. My daughter opens it up and she goes, "Oh, this is really nice. This is really thoughtful." One tip. When you give a girl something in a jewelry box, it better be jewelry. I can't wait. I can't wait. This is the only thoughtful thing I've ever done in my life.
How old was she?
She was about 18.
Oh my gosh, she was just teaching him a life lesson.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's good. I mean, it was a teachable moment for her.
Really
Well, you raised her well.
Yeah, exactly.
Goodness. How do the kids feel about being the focal point of your columns? I mean,
You've made them famous.
Well, I didn't tell them for a few years.
They couldn't read.
Dad just went off to work. You know, they don't care. Your dad just goes off to work. And then they finally found out about it. They're very good. They sort of grew up with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Aubrey.
Did they outgrow it?
Family kind of grew it. No, they're just good sports about it.
Sure.
They're really good sports about it. I think it was more positive. There they are.
Purdue, congratulations.
Yeah, more positive than negative. And, you know, sometimes it's a little bit revealing of things, but I didn't print everything. I mean, I had to live there. I had to live there. So
any budding writers?
So there you go. Yeah, actually, my youngest, who's 15, is talking about doing that. I said, no.
But now
a
he
real
has a camera. Back then, it was reality TV writing it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he may be the next Instagram novelist.
Yeah.
Who knows what he'll do?
Right.
You know, I mean, it's changing.
Sorry, I'm totally interrupting. Like thinking of, I'm still on the book. I just have to say one thing. It is so cool how relatable your stories are. Like you said, like when you're going through it, it's like, oh, my dad. I mean, I love my dad, but he's a goofball. You know, he's hysterical, and I make fun of him all the time. But you know, reading your stories, it's like, oh, my dad would have done that. I can see my dad there.
Dads are goofballs, and dads are the guys who say it's going to be okay.
Right.
Find the little joke in the situation. That's what we do.
Dads
That's what we do.
have the fun.
And we can relate to this. There's a point of no return for fathers. Once we become goofballs, we just stay the next.
Well, that's how you're seen for the rest
for
of
the
your
rest
life.
of your life. You wear the same clothes.
Our father.
Yeah.
I had a friend in school that used to invite me over to her house, and she said, "My dad wants you here because you're the only one that'll laugh at his jokes anymore."
Daditude is available April 17th, wherever books are sold. Go pick one up. It's so much fun.
Such a great book. Thank you so much, Chris, for being here. You were wonderful. Shirley, you're up next with your goji berries.
Okay, no matter where you live, you're going to learn how to grow goji berries.
Yeah.